Hello, everyone. My name is Chase Boswell, and I am in Miss Westall's History 202 class. Recently, we did a project on the September 11th attacks, and we were asked to interview one person who was over the age of 16 at the time of the attacks. I chose to interview my mother, Pamela Boswell, and she gave me a very detailed account of her recollection of the attack. She was just getting off of a third shift job, and she was on a bowling team for her work. She was at the bowling alley when the first plane struck and they turned the monitors on, and she said that she recalls watching with her team from there. She said that everyone disbanded relatively quickly to their homes. They just obviously called off the bowling meet, and we were released from school early. I believe I was in 6th grade, maybe 8th grade. I remember the attacks, but not to, like, I think I remember the attacks. It's one of those things, I always remember where I was at and what I was doing. But I don't think it registered with me the severity of what was happening. I think that I was more affected by my parents' reactions. My mother was so upset. I can remember going home and seeing her sitting on the couch watching the news. She was just in tears that so many families had lost loved ones, that it was just a tragic event. The American people came together quickly, and we tried to bounce back and help one another, everyone that was affected. I thought that was really, really good, because now people these days, it seems like people are so quick to not help one another, that something as tragic as that happens and everyone's able to stick together to help one another to try and rebuild. I did enjoy interviewing my mother just because she had a different perspective on it than I did. Obviously, her maturity level was probably a lot higher than mine at that point, and she was able to, I feel like, make me understand that it was more severe than I had initially taken it when it happened originally. And that is the conclusion of my video.
The person during the Living History project that I interviewed was my mother, known as Chastity Lynn Butler. A brief summary of what the interview was about was she was just a single mother going to work, just recently dropped her 2 kids off at her mother's, and then she heard about the devastating news. But learning from this project, and what touched me most about it, was that still to this day, everyone talks about it. It will be known in history forever, and we still deal with the issues from that day on with security and so forth.
I actually interviewed Angela Cheatham. She's a co-worker of mine. She actually was working during the time that the attack occurred. She was contacted by her mom regarding the attack while she was at work. At that moment, she actually had a relative that was in New York during that time. And I found that it was very interesting that, and I imagine it was very scary for her to find out that she had a relative there during that time and not knowing if they were okay. The good thing is they were okay, but, I felt like the project gave us an insight of others' accounts of where they were and what was going on. And that's what I found that was interesting in doing this project.
I came to do the video part of the Living History project about 9/11. The person that I interviewed during this project was my mother, Shatay Middleton, from McCormick, South Carolina. She was born September 5th, 1976 in Abbeville at the Abbeville Hospital. And during this time of the 9/11 attack, she was around 25 years old, taking classes at Piedmont Tech. She first heard about this news while she was in class at Piedmont Tech. And the first thought that goes through her head was that she had 3 kids, including myself and my 2 brothers. And she just wanted to know, were we safe? And as to her knowledge of Osama bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda, she had no knowledge of those guys. or that organization, or Osama bin Laden, excuse me. She first received news about this event from the television, and internet access to her wasn't available at the time. And she was terrified because she didn't know, was they gonna come south, come to where we was at, or was the attack just gonna be up where it happened? But yeah, I felt like this project affected me the most because, in my mother's point of view, I know I can't understand how she feels to have children, because I don't have children right now, but to have children, young children at the time, during this attack, and have to think whether or not your children are safe would be terrifying to a parent, excuse me. But yeah, just to touch bases on that, I just want to say thank you for this experience in this class. And
hello, my name is Caitlin Dowis, and I interviewed my grandmother, Brenda Dowis, who I call Emma, for the Living History Project. She had just left work to go home for her lunch break, and as she sat down and turned the television on, the 9/11 attacks were first brought to her attention. She was very scared and rushed back to work to inform everyone else who did not have internet at the time to let them know what was going on. Speaking about this time in history is a very heartbreaking topic. What touched me the most was hearing my Emma speak about how American citizens came together as a whole to recover from the 9/11 attacks. Thank you.
The person that I interviewed for my Living History project was my mama, Rhonda Napier. We're from a really small town, Abbeville, South Carolina. So she was home cleaning whenever she heard the news. My daddy was home, so he called her into the living room and they turned on the news. Of course, they were mortified like everyone else. She said that they just could not believe that that would happen to America. They never thought that a huge attack would happen to such innocent people. Even when there isn't a war going on, it was just a vicious attack. She said that all of America was going crazy trying to find out how many victims was it meant to happen, was the crash an accident. And of course, you know, internet and phones and everything was not as an advanced then, and so they really just had no other way than the news. So she sat there and she said all she could do was pray for the families and the victims and all the firemen, police, everyone that was involved, and they just waited to hear more news. At the time, we didn't know anyone personally in the accident, but later we became family friends with this one man, and I'm actually friends with the son, and his father was on his way to work that day. He is 2 streets over from the towers, and his car broke down on the bridge on his way into work, so he did not go in that day. And though we didn't know them at the time, it is crazy to look back and see that someone we know was personally hurt by that day, and they lost so many friends, so many co-workers, and it was just traumatizing to them. And it's crazy to think that later we would know someone that was personally attacked by this day. I really enjoyed learning about this project and doing it. I enjoyed the task that was given because it did make me more knowledgeable on 9/11 and the traumatic event that America went through that day. So yeah, thank you.